12 minutes gone past 5 p.m. You're listening to Hard Facts on 92.3 Nigeria Info. Kala Dakuru Bataboy is my name, and my pleasure, always my pleasure. And this time around, I know Marcus Ijoma said we shouldn't, promote the political situation on radio, but then we still have to talk about things that are happening, as this is the current affairs show. And I've invited a lawyer to help us understand, part of the development as it relates to the political situation in Rivers State. Once again, welcome. So let's look at this matter now. The police have been occupying the local government secretariat since last week. Over the weekend, we got reports on Sunday. Basically, I think when I was going through the headlines, I made mention of the fact that CSOs in Rivers State, even Labour in Rivers State, were looking at embarking on a protest, against the continued stay or the continued occupation of the local government secretariats by the police. Towards the evening yesterday, we then saw the caretaker chairman, as appointed by the governor, come out to say, hey, we're not protesting anymore. There should be no protest. We support the continued occupation of the local government secretariat. And today there is a protest, a peaceful one, from our local government chairman, or should I say Mbatu local government chairman, out there protesting, saying they are happy about the continued occupation of the local government secretary. Now, last week, a lot of people on radio, including some of the people who listen here, said, "Oh, what is the police doing? The police have taken sides. They're siding with the FCT minister." But is that really the case? And so I've invited the National Legal Advisor for the Committee for the Defense of Human Rights, Ekine, on the show via studio lines to help us understand the constitutionality of what the police is doing, or the order of the Inspector General of Police. Welcome on the show, Barrister Ekine. It's good to have you. Can you hear me, Barrister Ekine?
Yeah, yes, I can hear you, Kalada. Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure.
All right.
And I think my position is clear, and I made that public somewhere.
Okay, but let's get to hear you, and of course, oh my, we have.
I was saying that I think the Nigeria police, in my view, has acted beyond their powers to constitute themselves in clear, if you like, obstruction of governance and administration at a tier of government in this federation. That, for me, is more than the powers of the police and more than the justification for preventing breakdown of law and order.
Okay.
So I can expound on that, but that is my position. I think it's the reasonable and responsible position with the way the Nigeria police has handled the issue of the secretariats, the local government secretariats in Rivers State.
Okay. So maybe for a better understanding, what really does the Constitution say as it relates to the functionality of the police? What does the Police Act say? What are they supposed to do? I mean, I know summarily that they're supposed to maintain the peace, protect the lives and properties of citizens. But I mean, does it go beyond that? I would like to know.
No, thank you. It's important to lay the foundation that Section 214 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria established the Nigeria Police Force. And then pursuant to that, you have the Police Act 2020 further established the Nigeria Police, and then clearly stipulates the objectives of the Act, and then, of course, the Nigeria Police, and providing for the functions and powers of the Nigeria Police. It is important to identify here the general duties of the Nigeria Police, for me, have come to transcend, that is, go beyond the traditional reference to maintaining peace and securing lives and property, and if you like, say to preventing breakdown of law and order. What has become fundamental since the 2020 Act is that the duties of the police would now include protecting liberties and rights and fundamental freedoms of citizens.
Okay.
And that is very clear. Yes, this Section 1 and Section 2 of the Police Act 2020 are not fortuitous. They are not there for chance. Section 1 is clear as to the general objectives of the Police Act, which should guide every action of the police for accountability and transparency and the protection of human rights and fundamental freedoms. And I think that's the background that I consider that in purporting to carry out the traditional reference of maintaining law and order, preventing breakdown of law and order, but there shall be some expectation of professionalism, and then also in doing that, considering the primary objective of the Act. And then especially if you even go up to Section 2 of that, their own Police Act. The Police Act, specific objectives of that Act continue to emphasize the fact that in their operations, that they must observe the values of fairness, justice, and equity. They must also ensure that at all times, they safeguard the fundamental rights of every citizen. And somebody will ask, so how are they violating the rights of citizens in this regard? I have had discussions, conversations since the day the directive of the Inspector General of Police and the action of the Commissioner of Police and his men with workers at the local governments in Rivers State working in different sectors. I was just speaking with some senior health officials at the local governments, particularly in Degema and in Ahoda East local government, and getting clear perspective of the ways and how the action of the police will impact governance and administration and provision of welfare and services to the people in local government. I just referenced Section 2 of the Police Act, and it's also to the effect that the police, by ensuring that its functions, that the functions of the police, are performed in a manner that is sensitive to the needs and well-being of the general public. But when you act and function in the manner that the police has shut down practically the operations of local government administration in Rivers State, all the sectors at the local government, whether it is healthcare, by extension, whether it is primary education, whether it is markets, whether it is cemetery, and all of those areas that come under the functions of the local government, and even the provision of services by service providers. Okay, let's look at the practical situation here, Kalada. The police right now have conducted themselves in such a way that they have crippled local government administration, as if there is a conspiracy by the Nigerian states at other levels to, if you like, cause the local government level to go extinct in our federation. This is their own contribution by any guise to say, oh, we are waiting for certain outcome of judicial processes in court. And so you seize the local government, you take local government by force, you obstruct governance and administration at that level, prevent workers and service providers and legitimate officials. There is no way we would say that legitimate, innocent employees of the local government who have their duties to perform, who have legitimate businesses to go and do at the Secretariat, and then service providers who could probably go contracting so that they could go to provide services to the people of the local government areas, and then legitimate officials who will give directives one way or the other. I am not referencing the former elected local government chairman or even the caretaker committee members. Let us assume without conceding that both the former local government chairman and the caretaker committee members are the ones that the police will probably say they want to prevent from coming to the Secretariat to constitute some nuisance. Then they know them. How many are they? And then devise some strategic professional means or approach to be able to keep them away. If you like, call them, invite them, invite them to your secretarial office, and then have a meeting with them and cause them to take some undertaking. to say, look, you former local government chairman, if you say you're waiting for some outcome of a judicial process, then stay away. You caretaker committee members, if the governor has inaugurated you and he has said actually you can operate from anywhere, please stay away. But there are legitimate officials, heads of programs and heads of units. Look at what I've learned this afternoon, Kalada. I was speaking with a senior health official from Degema local government, and she was telling me that there are programs officers and heads of units who work directly in the local government secretariats. And she cited some of these local governments that even have offices for these officials in the secretariat, in Degema local government, in Emoha local government, in Port Harcourt City local government, and several other local governments. And she was talking with me with respect to the health sector, meaning that heads of units in the health sector, for those local governments that have offices for those heads of units, and heads of programs. It could be tuberculosis, it could be immunization program. In fact, she specifically told me that the immunization facilities, if you like, the vaccines for the local governments are stored in the local government secretariat, particularly in Degema local government, for instance. The police wouldn't know all of this, and they are careless about it. Do you know how much they said a dose of a certain vaccine costs? The senior health officer from Ahoda East local government was telling me that a dose of it is about 60,000, and then there are thousands of them in the storehouse, and that storehouse has a temperature that must be maintained, cooling temperature that must be maintained. So if officials don't go to work, all those vaccines will be bad and thrown away. Whatever amount of money the government has involved in procuring them will be wasted.
Interesting.
And then again, meaning that immunization will be affected. In fact, the lady was even telling me that for some of these local governments, immunization actually even take place in some of those places where they have the facility inside. I would want to cross-check that in Emoha local government, that the facility in the secretariat, inside of the secretariat. So we never countenance all of this, and then we think that we protect the interests of some politicians, some former elected local government. When we worry, some of those who are aligned with these politicians think that we are talking for the politicians. As we have this discussion, I'm talking for children who need immunization. I'm talking for tuberculosis patients who need health care. I'm talking for other vulnerable diseases who need health care.
All right, Barrister Ekine,
and they can access it.
I would have to post you. We've got a commercial. When I come back, I ask you few more questions, and we'll have to wrap it up. Stay tuned. news. Several injured as all right. Lawyer demands police exits from local council secretariat in Rivers State. Several injured as gas tanker falls in Port Harcourt. A court adjourned hearing on suit filed by Boots Party challenging legitimacy of Martin Ameule 25 orders. Court acquits discharges from Rivers PDP governor or former Rivers PDP governorship aspirant Farada Gogo. NOA says anyone still singing old national anthem is violating the law. On the foreign scene, 8 killed in deadly fire at Moscow office building. Details in the 6 p.m. bulletin. To reach the news team, send an SMS or WhatsApp to 0808 721 7215.
This is Hard Facts.
All right, you're still listening to Hard Facts on 92.3 Nigeria Info, 29 minutes to the top of the hour. And I am Kalada Korubatabo, and with me in the studio is Henry Ekine, who is the National Legal Advisor for the Committee for the Defense of Human Rights. And he's joining me via the phone. Welcome back on the show. It's good to have you, Barrister Ekine.
Thank you, Kalada, for having me back.
All right, so quickly, let's move now to my next question. My next question is, you've said, for the reason of protecting the rights and privileges of Rivers people, the police should not be barricading or occupying local government secretariats in Rivers State, given the sensitive nature of certain actions and functions happening in or at the local government level. My next question then will be, and of course we've talked about it before, with the plethora of judgments, of high court judgment from Omotosha with all of these judgments, don't you think the police itself is in a very complicated situation? It's in a crossroad, and if it goes to the left, it will get criticized. If it goes to the right, it will get criticized. I mean, do you, if you were the police, would you not think it's a conundrum?
No, not at all. That's where the professionalism of the police chief comes in. And that's why I had said, even in my earlier statement, that I think that their method simply shows and demonstrates that they do not seem to have the requisite professionalism in handling this situation. In the course of my earlier conversation, before we went on break, I had actually said, if they are confused about the different orders and decisions of court, including those that are pending in court, the parties to those suits are clearly known to the chiefs of the police. They have legal department and should advise them appropriately. What would you do? Consider this, even if it's not going to be the best idea, but I've said, you know that on the one hand, there are some gentlemen who were elected into office in 2021. That's a fact. And then that their tenures were to expire on the 17th of June 2024. That's a fact. And that those tenures have expired. But these gentlemen are insisting that they are going to hold on to power. So what do? You invite them to your office affair with the Commissioner of Police. And this had gone on for long. They never took any step. So if I had invited all the 23 local government chairmen, they would have come and then have a conversation with them and say, okay, look, whatever it is, your tenures are expiring on the 17th. If you have issues in court that are pending, can you please wait until the outcomes of those? That's on the one hand, so that you will not be seen to be on one side. You also call those who the governor has probably appointed, the House of Assembly cleared, and have been inaugurated, to say, look, for this reason and that reason, for the safety of other officials of the local government, staff of the local government, service providers, and for the generality of the people. Remember, I read the objectives of the law, the Police Act, for the well-being of the public. Please, you are just few, maybe about 100 or so of you. Can you also hold your peace? Or in your own case, the governor has even also said you can operate from somewhere outside the secretariat. So we now, the police, we will allow workers, legitimate workers, who are neither former local government chairmen and nor the caretaker committee members. We wouldn't have had this situation where they would have shut down the operation of local government.
As
we
noble
would have had this.
Sorry, as noble as your idea is, these local government staff, the civil servants, would have to take directions and orders from, some politician who, in this case, is either the former local government chairman or the caretaker chairman, and that's also going to cause some kind of chaos, and that's what the police is trying to avoid. So imagine imagine if the head of a local government decides to take authority or direction or an order from the former local government chairman, and then there's a citizen in his office giving him a query. I mean, it's going to still cause similar issues. I don't know if you agree. Go ahead.
In desperate situations, the point we are making is you cannot, in the guise of perhaps protecting some individual's interest, and then you run afoul with the general objective and specific objectives of your law, and of course the fundamental provision of our Constitution. I have said here, Kalada, everything that defines the essence of humans, particularly citizens of a country, will not be short of the fundamental rights and freedoms of citizens. Otherwise, you're not a human being. So I have said that by the action of the police here, they have conducted themselves in such a way that their actions have direct effect on the civil, political, economic, social, and cultural rights of the people. And that is both the provisions of Chapter 2 and Chapter 4 of the Constitution have been impeded. And some may not say this directly, say, oh, how? I have given instances where the right to health, the right to welfare, these are fundamental directives to any policy anybody will make as an authority in this country.
Right.
Then it has been explained beyond any doubt by a plethora of cases that the fundamental right to health, to life under Section 33 has extensive implication as to even proper health care. If you have the right, as in the civil and political right under Chapter 4, you say Section 33 is right to life. It's expansive. It has direct connection with the fundamental objectives and directive principle as to the health objective that we have in our Constitution. And then again, the well-being and welfare of citizens is expansive. So you cannot, in the guise of wanting to protect political interests of politicians, and then you run contrary to the general public. That, like I said, Section 2 of the Police Act places a specific objective of all the operations.
Okay.
So for a directive to be given by the Inspector General of Police or an action to be taken by the Commissioner of Police, they must take full consideration of that action, how it affects the well-being of the public, how it affects the rights of citizens. So if it is imperative that they will protect the facilities, that is a building, for goodness sake. If it is imperative that they will prevent political office holders, like you were saying, the conversation I had with these people, there are program heads and there are heads of units. We have practiced our democracy in such a way that politicians and elected officials have so taken sway of public administration to the detriment of even the professionals in public administration. I have done public administration as a scholar with all modesty and no pride. My first degree in public administration, we were taught that when public administration was public administration, the permanent secretary in a ministry will not go bowing for a commissioner. The permanent secretary in the federal ministry will not go bowing for a minister. For goodness, those are the accounting officers in public service. They are seasoned, they are experienced, they can give directives. So if for any reason, in the absence of these elected, look at what the politicians are doing now. Yeah, what are they showing? Adults, leaders who were elected into office. Your term expired on the 17th, and you're bringing down the rain, and the heavens must fall if you don't stay on to office. When even the conditions that would have enabled you to stay beyond 17th have not become operational. I had made an analysis that, assuming without conceding that the Rivers State Local Government Amendment Law number 2 of 2024, assuming it has not even been nullified by Justice Kyo, it was not to operate automatically to enable the local government chairman whose tenure had expired on the 17th to unilaterally force themselves in office on the 18th. No. it meant that the River State House of Assembly was to pass a resolution
All right. Okay.
extending their tenure.
Okay.
And then also, by resolution, appoint judicial officer to swear them in. These two conditions have not taken place. And then people who are adults and supposed leaders, some are lawyers, and they are saying no, that the fact that the law had said that there is a possibility that they could be, their extension could be, their tenures could be extended.
Okay.
Isn't co-ed?
Okay. Now there is the call for a state of emergency. What would you? I mean, going back what you've explained, how it is, the responsibility of the police or basically government, not just to protect lives and properties, but to also protect the rights and privileges of the citizens. So, what would you make about the call for a state of emergency in River State? From a legal.
That's the most uncharitable call by any person anywhere in the world, let alone an indigene of River State. Most uncharitable call. So for me, it's not justified, and I had said so because pursuant to Section 305 of the Constitution, which is the extant provision of the Constitution that deals with declaration of state of emergency, and then subsection 1 of that Section 305, vesting the power in Mr. President to do so, and then subsection 2 going down to subsection 3, which particularly lists the conditions that must exist before the president will even make a proclamation. And then the procedure under subsection 2 of section 305 is that if he even does that publication in the Gazette of the Federation, he will take this to the Senate President and the Speaker of the House of Representatives for them to convene their houses and get a resolution that is required for even that to be effected. But particularly subsection 3 of section 305 that lists the conditions. It has not happened in River State. Charitable call in River State. And I doubt whether that person is an indigene of River State or even resident here.
All right.
But for me, it is not a call that is justified at all. Pursuant to subsection 3 of section 305 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. What is the crisis here? When some persons have conducted themselves as deviants in society and criminal behaviors, it's just like some kidnappers probably take some, like the East-West Road on rampage. Then you say you should declare state of emergency. That's why the security agencies are there to go after them and get them arrested, including political office holders whose tenures have expired. And they are conducting themselves and threatening peace in this and violence in this state. And then they've not been arrested and even called to questioning.
All right, then.
There is a state of emergency. Why didn't that person say they should be called and questioned? Is it because they are politicians?
Okay, my time is up, but I would thank you very much for your time and for the explanations you've given. So just to be clear, you're saying the police and the Inspector General of Police should have a rethink about the...
Yes, they should have a rethink. And precisely, what I'm saying, sorry, Kalada, I'm not interjecting, is that they can provide security. As a matter of fact, the workers I'm saying they should go to work should be under the protection of the security agencies. Let me say, for instance, I would recommend for the police again to bring in the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, get more hands perhaps, station their vehicles or their whatever checks in strategic positions in the respective local government areas. If you like, say at the gate, the NSCDC people will be there. If you are a staff, show your ID card and go in and work. They have a duty to protect even the lives of those workers so that they provide services for the people. The people have right for services to be provided.
All right.
The workers have a right for them to be protected by the security agencies. But now the security agencies inadvertently, or if you like, a roundabout way, are protecting the interests of politicians only.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. And I do like the way you've put it. Thank you for your time, Ekine, National Legal Advisor, Committee for the Defense of Human Rights. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having me, and I appreciate your platform.
All right, then. So, just like our very first conversation, the second conversation is tilting towards the same direction. How does this benefit or impact on the people of River State? We'll find out your thoughts when we do come back from the commercial break. For now, there is a commercial break. Please do stay tuned.